an embarrassing Huskies loss in the Apple Cup to the Cougars. George, I guess I'll just let you begin today. My rant was going to be about the play call on fourth down, but I'm sure you have a lot more you want to rant about.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious if you're watching this, you know why we lost the football game. Not because Washington State Cougars went out there and beat us. We beat ourselves. 16 penalties for 165 yards. We had plenty of opportunities to win the game. Our coaching staff, fourth and goal, we don't get it. Oh, so why don't we call a timeout in case we don't get it? And then we're going to give them no other opportunity. We call a timeout. And then, as you said, play call. We called the worst freaking play call. And then I saw on Twitter, that's okay. That's what Jed Fish does, because USC versus Arizona last year, when Arizona had a chance to win the game, fourth and goal, he ran the ball and didn't get it, got stuffed. So that's what he's going to do.
Ran the ball or ran a speed option to
All
the
I
short
saw was
side
he ran a play with Jonah Coleman and got stuffed too. So I don't know what it is.
But it wasn't a speed option to the short side of the field.
Don't ever say that word again. Speed option? Speed?
You're
going to use the word
option
speed?
with
Slow
Will
option.
Rogers.
Oh my God. No. What was that? Like, it's embarrassing. It sucks.
You're listening to the Sports ONTAP Seattle podcast. I'm Sammy, and with me, as always, is my older brother, George.
Your favorite place to be a fan of Seattle sports. Now let's get this party started.
The biggest part is don't run a speed option to the short side of the field on fourth and goal after you use the timeout and it's the final play of the game to win the game. And on top of that, outside of the fact that it was an awful call running a speed option to the right side of the field on the short side of the field, is at that point, because it wasn't like they were doing any trickery when they put in Williams at quarterback, put in the fast quarterback. That's like, at least like throw Williams in there. Maybe he has some speed, would have been able to read it was off and broke it off the other side and figured some crazy BS, like, thing going around. But they kept Will Rogers in and did a speed option to the short side of the field and stuffed into the defense. And in college, for those that are, maybe are new to college, I don't know, the hashes are much wider than the NFL. So the short side of the field is very short. Like, that's an awful play call in that moment.
I think it's
not to excuse everything else, but it was awful.
It was an awful play call. But let me just also say this. It wasn't expected. If I'm going to try to find a silver line,
George, you know what else wasn't expected? A 1-yard pass in the Super Bowl, Seahawks versus Patriots, when we watched our Seahawks throw an unexpected play call. Whoa, a pass on the 1-yard line when you have one of the best running backs in the NFL or one of the best running backs in the nation. Whoa, it tricked us, didn't work.
Yeah, just everything bad. I really am just disappointed because I don't necessarily think we deserved. Okay, no, we deserved to lose the game, but not because of the play on the field. It was the other stuff, the penalties, the coaching, like decision making, the timeout usage at the end of the game. Like on the field, yeah, they had some great plays, don't get me wrong, but our defense came up big a few times in the red zone, a few times, and a few times they scored. I mean, this is college football. There's going to be points scored. But the play on the field, to me, didn't reflect a loss. It reflected an undisciplined team who got outcoached as well.
Yeah, the coaching was bad.
Yeah, so I don't know what to say. They got outcoached. It sucks. It really sucks. Like this one was really hard.
If you have nothing to say, I'll speak.
Please, I'm at loss of words.
You were just mumbling words. So I was like, I'm going to get to this. The biggest thing I saw at the end of the second half, and I think Softy tweeted this. Anyone that's a Huskies fan probably knows who Softy is. Probably the most popular radio content guy for Huskies football. He said is this a little bit of overcoaching going on? The way they put in Williams in the most random times for a screen pass and then decided, he tweeted, is Will Rogers hurt? If he's not, this seems like some overcoaching at the end of the half where they're like, let's just put Williams in for like 7 straight plays to end a drive, but also not really do anything unique while he's on the field. We're just running the same offense, but actually a little more conservative while putting in your backup
That's very
quarterback. So
fair.
it was almost like some overcoaching going on by Jed Fish at that point in the game. And then, like you said, the undisciplined coaching. When we get to penalties, when we get to those, I'm sorry, on third and on the 1 yard line for the Cougars, the nose tackle decides to just shove the center, and everyone on the defense puts their hands on their head and they're looking at him like, are you serious? Like, their only hope there was you might get a safety and get the ball back. You might pin them and get a blocked punt or
Right. That was what I was
whatever.
hoping for, but yeah.
Yeah, but it was undisciplined coaching. And I think that's what's really frustrating. And you've been more optimistic than I have, probably because you're deeper into Huskies football than I am. But that's where I've said the first 2 games against teams that are not very good teams, right? We're talking like these non-Power 5 conference type of teams that we were playing in the first 2 games. Sure, we ended up winning, but in the first half of both of those games, there was a lot of poor football being played. And for me, I'm sure the Huskies don't have an awful roster. I know that a lot of people left, but there's obviously something going on right now where the coaching staff as a whole is not figuring it out the right way yet. And I'm not saying they won't. Jed Fish built a beautiful program at Arizona, and they're kind of living off that program right now. They got killed against Kansas State yesterday, but he built a really good program at Arizona. But the coaching, the first 2 games, I didn't love it against bad teams, and then against a decent team. I mean, Wazoo blew out Texas Tech. Wazoo's not bad. They have a coach that's been there for a few years, and he seems like a pretty decent coach. He outcoached Jed Fish, and it seemed like today you could really see that with the play calls, the undisciplinedness, the clock management, like you mentioned, the timeout. What was the point of that timeout? You call that timeout, you're ruining your chance to get the ball back if you don't score on the 4th down. Then you run the short side of the field option. How does that all work out in the huddles?
It doesn't. It doesn't. And to me, yes, we got outcoached. You mentioned Fish built an excellent program in Arizona, and if you go look at Harbaugh's first few years in Michigan, they weren't the hottest years in history of football. He became called an overrated coach. It took Dabo Sweeney a long time, but it's just disappointing to me because, like, I really think we should be going into Big Ten play 3-0, and then going to a bad Northwestern team and have a chance to go 4-0, and then play a Michigan team who's really not that good right now at Husky Stadium with a chance to go 5-0. I don't think this game was a game you're supposed to lose under any circumstance. I don't even think, I don't even think their team necessarily looked that good. The Cougars, 3rd and 15, we give up a 25-yard touchdown run on a scramble. Like, little plays like that. You know what that tells me? The defense is not disciplined as well. That means, it's 3rd and 15. We're just going to kind of take it easy here. Protect the sticks, and then all of a sudden running quarterbacks coming down the field. Like, things like that is like
making them look like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, things like that just don't work in college football or any form of football. And like I said, I believe in the program. I believe in Jed Fish. He's supposedly a great recruiter too. This is maybe just a bad day in Husky football program history, but they got us today. They're gonna it sucks because we left the Pac-12, like, big bad Huskies, and we left the Pac-12, and then
we're the Big Ten team now.
We're the Big Ten
look at you guys
now.
in the Pac-2.
And then we lose to you guys. Like, it's disappointing. That's like it's embarrassing. We're tails between the legs today.
But before we talk about the embarrassment of it, because I actually want to talk about that a little more, I do want to talk about Jed Fish for a second. And Huskies fans, I'm not saying it's not going to work out, but I will say that he's had one good coaching year. He's only been a coach for really 3 years in his career so far. This is his 4th year. He was 1-1 in UCLA in 2017. He coached 3 years at Arizona as a head coach, in this 1 year so far at Washington, where they're 2-1. But the first 2 years at Arizona, do you know their records, George?
No, but I know he took over a program that went 0-11 the year before that.
And he went 1-11 in his first year, which is obviously not happening with the Huskies. He went 5-7 the second year. So he went 10-3 his 3rd and final year, which, if you're deep into college football, you know that usually it takes about 2 years to get your recruiting classes in, 2 or 3 years. And, that's where my hope here is even if it's not, maybe he's not the best coach in the world. And in college football, let's, say what we want. Nick Saban's a genius. Sure. There's a couple other guys that are geniuses, but outside of that, there's a lot of guys like Lane Kiffin that's had multiple opportunities, or Sark that's had multiple opportunities. What it's taken is a program they can recruit to. And if you can recruit well and you're a good enough coach, or you can put around a good enough coaching staff, after 2 or 3 years, you're going to be good. So I do believe Jed Fish was outcoached. I do think he might not be a coaching genius, right? Like, he went 1-11 his first year at Arizona. You lose to the Cougars first year at UW, and there was a lot of mistakes. Maybe he's not a genius, but you mentioned one thing. He's known that he could be a very good recruiter. And once you recruit well, and I think he'll be able to recruit at UW just as good, if not better than at Arizona. And maybe this is just going to be a little bit of a rebuilding project, more than we thought. I thought there was going to be obviously a dip from the Michael Penix and Kalen DeBoer era, because we made a national championship run. We lost in the national championship. I mean, it's hard to replicate that. I didn't think it'd be this much of a rebuild, though.
No, okay. I knew it's a complete rebuild because you're losing 20 out of your 22 players, but I thought that rebuild is just new players, same old Huskies, if that makes sense.
But not as good as last year, you were assuming, obviously.
No, of course not. I didn't think we're going to have the best, most wins in the history of the program in one season, reach a national championship.
Yeah. And you knew we were going to have the best offense in college football. But my point is, that's the thing. I thought it was going to be same old Huskies. I thought they were going to be competing to be a top 25 team. From what I saw the first 3 weeks against two low conference teams, we didn't look amazing. Like, we didn't have one of those 72-0 blowouts that a lot of teams do against those lower end teams, which is not the biggest deal in the world. But then when I see a loss to the Cougars in Seattle, like, I know it's not at either team's home, but on a neutral field, if you can't beat the Cougars, this is a little bit bigger of a rebuild than I thought. I think it's more of it might not be, like you said, a complete dumpster fire rebuild like 1-11 Arizona, but it's not a team. It's a team that's probably nowhere near that top 12 to make the playoffs this year.
No, we're probably going to be 7 wins, 8 wins max.
Yeah, you can beat teams like Northwestern. You'll lose to teams like Michigan and USC and Oregon.
Yeah, and maybe and Penn State at Penn State. So that's 5 losses there. So no, it's going to be a tough year, and that's okay as long as we don't look like this. The discipline. Honestly, I might not be as mad as I am right now if we went into this game, lost 24-19, clean game, just got outplayed. 16 penalties for 165 yards.
Yeah, the penalties, and that goes to coaching. I mean, the penalties were embarrassing.
Remember the one? There's a third down and 15 for the Cougars. We get a holding call on us on defense, and literally you see the replay. The guy's going down the middle. Our player takes 2 arms and throws them aside.
Yeah, and then you have the 3rd and 5. The Cougars get a false start, 3rd and 10, and then we have a delay of game, which I didn't understand the call, but it's a real call. But the delay of game, we give them back the 5 yards just like that. That's undisciplined. Whatever they did, I don't like to crap on refs too much. It's probably, I mean, the announcer explained it. It seems like it was the right call according to experts, right? So, like, we were just handing them yards back. The undisciplined, like you said, on the touchdown run at the end of the half, the undisciplinedness on, receiver running down the field, just shove them to the ground. The nose tackle, they're on the 1 yard line, 3rd down. Like, if we stop them here, we might have a chance to win the game. Let me just shove the center 5 seconds early. Well, what is that?
Dumb. It was dumb decision. Yeah, dumb football today. Dumb decision making. Dumb situation. Huskies lose to the Cougars probably in the first and last for now neutral field Apple Cup. Well, I don't know if there has been, but usually hosted by someone. This is like not hosted by anyone. Apple Cup.
There has been at the stadium, and we were redoing the stadium, but it was not a neutral site. I think it was. They said the first neutral site Apple Cup, and hopefully the last one. But one thing I want to look at here, George, we're talking about how good this team can be. You lose to Washington State. That's a game you think you're going to win. You hope they can go Northwestern and Rutgers. You'd say those should be games that, a team wins, right?
You
A
hope.
team like us wins. But then you got number 17 Michigan. You have Iowa. Iowa's always tough. Indiana, USC number 11, Penn State number 8, UCLA, and then number 9 Oregon. There's a chance in those last 7 games to lose 4 of them, and it's going to be a if this team's record, like you said, it might end up being a 6 or 7 win team when you look at that schedule based on the way they played today. Hopefully, it doesn't stay that way. But if this team is what we saw today, if this was like their true colors, we're looking at a sneaking into a bowl game potential type of year.
Exactly, and it's tough. But hey, we move on now, right? It was a tough day to be a Washington Husky fan. Hopefully, the Seahawks can give us a little bit of better taste in our mouth tomorrow.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we can come on for our next podcast talking about a Seahawks 2-0 win instead of talking about the Seahawks losing to a bad Patriots team. It would be like this loss, the Huskies losing to not. I don't want to call Washington State bad. It looked pretty decent, and they did blow out Texas Tech, and they're all right, but not a game you're supposed to lose. That's a really disappointing loss. I can't believe the undisciplined this, George.
Me either.
And I do want to mention one thing that I was seeing a lot of people talking about on Twitter, which just was a little nostalgia here. It's just we definitely were so spoiled these last 2 years, dude. We were so spoiled with that team last year.
Yeah.
It's so hard sometimes in any sport when you have a team that's a potential championship winning team to go the next year and see losing to your rivals and a down year. It is hard to watch.
It is. Hopefully, by the time we reach that Oregon game, we can spoil something for them. That's like my hope.
Yeah, if they're this team, they will not beat Oregon. But
no, they will not.
What a rough ending to the Apple Cup. What a rough game. A lot of mistakes. A lot of the Huskies' fault. I think you said it best to wrap it up. Is it's not necessarily. I feel like that the Cougars beat the Huskies. I feel like the Huskies beat themselves.
I agree.
Facets of the game.
Perfect.
Pretty crazy.
It is. It's nuts.
Sad times, man. Sad times. Well, like you said, hopefully tomorrow Seahawks win the game for us. Hopefully, if you still love UW, George has his For the Dog shirt from SeattleOnTap.com from our shop. I don't know how many people want to be purchasing a For All the Dogs shirt today, but if you do, check it out on SeattleOnTap.com.
Yeah, please go buy some. It'll make our day a little better.
It might make their day worse, though.
It might make your day better, too. You got a new shirt.
I mean, a couple of days, I'll have a new shirt, but today will just be money out of the bank account. A tough day and a loss.
Yeah,
that's tough. Go get yourself some drinks. Go have a nice Saturday, and let's hope we see a better Huskies team next week against Northwestern. And for those Seahawks fans, hopefully we see a Seahawks win tomorrow and wrap up the weekend a little better. And maybe a Mariners playoff run if they somehow find a way to win 5-6 in a row. So hopefully some more positive things on our horizon, George.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, stay tuned. Follow us everywhere at Seattle on Tap or SeattleOnTap.com for our blog and our merchandise. Any support means the world. And like and subscribe to the podcast here. We'll be back multiple times a week talking Huskies, Seahawks, Mariners, Sonics, hopefully in the near future. And anything else that you guys let us know in the comments that you like to hear about, we'll be talking. So we appreciate you stopping by today, despite the tough loss. And George, you got anything else?
Nope. That's it. Just go Grief.
Man, tough Saturday for George. You can see the sadness today. You can see it.
It's been tough.
Tough times. Tough times make tough people, though. So Huskies will be better next week. And we love you guys. And George, you know what we like to say.
Hey, thanks for stopping by.
Peace. Go Huskies, I guess, right?
Yeah, go Huskies.